Hey guys, Monica Lorette here. I've got another video, and even though this is almost the end of January, I just wanted to touch on the different books that I was planning on reading, as well as what my reading goals for the year are going to be, because for me, this year is going to be low stakes reading goal. It's low stakes in the term of I'm not going to have a high reading goal this year. Last year was 20, the year before was 12. And my reading goal is for me. So I just wanted to make a reading goal that I knew I'd be able to hit, so that way I wouldn't feel bad about myself. So this year I have a reading goal of 4 books to make me feel better, make me feel happy, and I just want to see how many books I can read this year. And then for the pages goal, I'm just doing 4,000 because I think I'll be able to hit that as well this year as I was able to hit it last year. Did 5,000 words, so I know I can hit 4,000. But that is why my goals are going to be a little lower than before, because I'm not trying to impress anyone. It's not a challenge. So those are my reading goals for this year, and I'm excited to just see how many I can read. Last year I picked 20 books I would read throughout the year, and I didn't read all 20 of those books. So I'm going to just keep those books that I didn't finish last year and include them for this year. So my TBR for this year is just the leftovers from last year's TBR. I have already read one book though, and that was just because I had this book on my shelf for a while and I just wanted my story graph to show some stats because it was looking bare and empty and I didn't like it. But I am currently reading 2 books right now because one of them is, I'm saying dense because it's thick and like the font is very small, and not that it's like a dense material. At least so far to me it's not a dense reading material. So I'm reading The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. And this is the story that coined the phrase all for one and one for all. And I found this beautiful edition at a thrift store. It's got little swords on it. It has, it's purple on the side. So I've always wanted to read this, so I decided I would try that this year. But like I said, it's kind of big and the font is sort of tiny. So what I've been doing is I've been reading about 2 chapters a week, so that way I could finish about halfway through the year. Gonna go as slowly as I can here, because if I try and force myself to read this all like in a short amount of time, I'm going to throw myself in a reading slump, and I don't want to do that because I had one too many slumps last year. The other book that I'm reading at the same time is going to be Fat Chance Charlie Vega, and this is by Crystal Maldonado. And I am not that far into this one as well, mainly because I did kind of throw myself into a little bit of a slump. I had tried to join the Storygraphs page challenge for January. The way the challenge works is every day you read and you track your reading progress. So how many pages, whether it's 1 page, like 3 minutes of an audio book, you just track it every day. And I found for me it was getting stressful by like the end of the 2nd week. It was getting stressful to me, and I found myself not wanting to read because it just felt like a chore. So that type of challenge just does not work for me. It's the 2nd year that I've tried it, and it was the same thing happened last year, so I just will not be joining that challenge anymore this year. But I highly suggest check out, I think they do it maybe 2 other times throughout the year, but they definitely do it in January of the year, so check out the story graph for that next year if that is something that you think would definitely help you get further into the habit of reading. But I'm just gonna read when the mood strikes me, and so hopefully I will finish this by the end of January, so that way I can actually have a book that I read, besides the other one. But it's a children's book. When I run out of those books, I am going to go into my lovely TBR jar here and pull out, I have these little origami envelopes that I can do. And so I'm just gonna stick with my TBR jar this year. And then my purchases I made last year, they're not included in this jar. Instead, they are in my little castle. I painted this last year at a pottery place. We went for my nephew's birthday, and I found this cute little castle. It's actually a piggy bank. You can actually see some of the envelopes in there. So all the books that I purchased last year, and probably the books I'm going to purchase this year as well, I'm going to include in this one. So that way I can go through books that I have had on my shelf for a while now and try and get those done before the new books that I have added. And we'll see how fast I can go, because the books that I have purchased lately I definitely really want to read, but I want to make it a goal to also clear out my shelves as much as I can, or read as much from my shelves as I can. So we'll try and rapid fire these books a little bit. I have like a total of 8 I'm looking to read so far this year. So I've already read 1, and then those 2 make 3. And then I have 5 more books to make 8 total. So we'll see how fast I can read these, but I'm also thinking I might do all romance books that I have on my shelf during February. So we'll see if I do a video like that. The first book is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. First book in the Brown Sisters, kind of not trilogy, it's just companion novels. Then the next one is See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmidt. I purchased this one last year, and I just randomly decided to add it to the TBR before the year ended, and I didn't get to it. So we'll see if we can get to it this year. The third one is Borderline from the Arcadia Project, and this is by Michelle Baker. All I know is that this has to do with the Fae. The last 2 books are actually the third and fourth sequels that I wanted to read last year. I made the wonderful joke that 2022 was the year of sequels, and I only read 2 of the 4 sequels that I had picked, but those are The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell, the second book in the Last Magician series, and then Harold the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and this is the second book in the Locked Tomb trilogy. And I am thinking that when I read these books, I will just pick up the next one. So after this, I will pick up Serpent's Curse and then Nona the Ninth, so I can just get these books completed. So those are the books that I want to read this year, and I may try and turn myself into a mood reader this year. Normally I have this like spinner app on my phone where I make a wheel with all the books that I want to read, and every time I finish a book I will spin that and it'll tell me what I read next. But I may see how it works if I just decide to be a mood reader, and when I finish Fat Chance Charlie Vega, just see which one of these books I'd want to read, or if I'd want to read just something else on my shelf. So I think I might try going into mood reading this year to see if it helps me read a little bit more. And then also, I am going to revamp my shelves this year, because the books that I bought last year, some of them are not fitting. You can kind of see here, I have my Google fell. I have books stacked on top. Oh, you can't see those with the camera angle. I have cameras stacked on top of these. I have them just sitting here on the shelf instead of facing forward. And so I want to redo my shelves and just see where I can put things to make a little more room and fit all of my books. So I think it is finally time to realize that I no longer have shelf space, unless I clean out the bottom 2 shelves, because the bottom 2 shelves are books that have to do with writing as well as old textbooks. I just don't know where to put the textbooks, but we will see what happens when I redo my shelves, and I will probably do a giant unhaul then as well. I'd love to hear what you guys are reading. Let me know what books you're planning on reading this year. If you've read any of the books I'm planning on reading, if there's anything that I should know about before going in, let me know, definitely. I love a heads up, obviously. If you want to warn me about something, I don't consider it a spoiler. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. A bientôt!